Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me in my studies today. 23 weeks ago, I began to externalize my studies of a book a week by sharing the passages that are most prominent to me, as well as oftentimes my thoughts about them. Today, I'm reading from His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, and Victor Chan's The Wisdom of Compassion. Many of today's vocal readings are pulled from the transcribed discussions between the Dalai Lama and philanthropic leaders across the world. One thing that I will say is that while I have not read anything that has surprised me or that is necessarily very new to me, I have been brought to tears a number of times, always accompanied by a smile on my face. I definitely recommend enjoying this book. In addition to the focus topics that are threaded throughout this book, compassion, peace, nonviolence, equanimity. In today's vocal readings, we will also see the focus topics cognitive behavioral therapy, mysticism, and interfaith dialogue. Enjoy. Page 124. The Dalai Lama once suggested to an interviewer that the only way a Buddhist monk could fly is by jumping off a cliff, spreading his robes, and hoping for a soft landing. But then, the Dalai Lama has himself witnessed certain phenomena that his rational mind finds hard to explain. Some years ago, he told me about the unusual circumstances that surrounded the death of his senior tutor, Ling Rinpoche, who died at the age of 81 on Christmas Day 1983. Although Ling Rinpoche was clinically dead, his breathing had stopped and there was no pulse. He remained in some form of meditation for 13 days. During this time, the area around his heart remained warm, and his body, unmoving in a meditative pose, showed no signs of deterioration. On the last day, his head dropped, and a small amount of blood escaped from his nostrils. The Dalai Lama believed that it was only then that Ling Rinpoche's consciousness finally left his body. During the last few decades, the Dalai Lama has known of quite a few high lamas in Dharamsala and in other parts of India who showed similar behavior at death. Page 133. This is toward the end of a fascinating discussion, between the Dalai Lama and Aaron Beck, who is known as the father of cognitive behavioral therapy. They have an incredible discussion about the similarities between cognitive behavioral therapy and Buddhist meditation and mindfulness. If I just think only of me, then I'd never think of you. Beck was on a roll. Same thing with anger. If I'm angry with you, I'd tell you I'm angry at you. You can explain to me why you did not treat me well. You may have a good reason not to treat me well, and maybe I'm wrong. When people get angry, I'd say at least 90% of the time, the person who gets angry is wrong. That's my opinion. That's right, the Dalai Lama agreed. Once I think negative emotion, once afflictive emotion develop, then you can't see the reality. On page 135, Aaron Beck continues, and then we should talk about addiction, he said. When people are addicted to food or drugs or to success, control, they can never be satisfied because they're always overstimulated. And so, as soon as I satisfy myself, I cannot be contented because I'm overstimulated. I still think of success. As long as I think of success or food or drugs, I'm always going to want more and more. So I'm always going to be driven. An attachment to other people. If I'm too much in love, then I can't think. If I want too much success, fame, glory, then I can never get them, never feel satisfied. What does Buddhist philosophy say? The same, the Dalai Lama said. Being caught up in desire is like drinking salt water. The more you drink, the more you get thirsty. Page 149. What is peace? Peace does not mean no longer any problems, no longer any conflict. Some differences, some conflicts, always there. Peace means when there is conflict, use our common sense and our compassion to consider rest of humanity, our human brothers and sisters. With this, restrain using violence. That is genuine peace. Page 166. prolonged practice of meditation apparently helps trigger a resonance with the emotional state of another person. Experienced meditators are able to replicate that emotional state, going beyond mere intellectual understanding to produce a powerful wave of empathy and compassion. For them, the boundaries between self and other are blurred. As they go about their daily lives, there's an increased identification with those outside their immediate circle of close friends and family. They know that we are all one and are relentless in working for the welfare of the other. On page 195, here we will see referenced the brain scan results of longtime Buddhist practitioner and friend of the Dalai Lama, Matthew Ricard. Ricard's number, however, nearly fell off the chart. His outlier data showed that joy and fulfillment permeate his entire consciousness. He entered into a state of euphoria when he meditated on compassion. Ricard explained, "It's a compassion that has no agenda, a compassion that excludes no one. You generate the sense of loving and you let it soak the mind. You focus on the wish that all sentient beings be free from suffering." Page 216. As a Buddhist monk, I believe every day is new day. Every day is birthday. The particles of our bodies momentarily changing always become something new. Mental thinking, because of new experiences, new knowledge, also changes. So every day is birthday. The important thing is we should utilize our every new day proper way. Then days, months, decades, whole life becomes meaningful. Page 228. Today's reality is whole world, just one body. Everything is a part of me. Understanding this helps reduce negative emotions. Hatred comes because we don't appreciate interdependence. Suffering comes because we don't understand interdependence. We cause harm, sometimes unintentionally, because we are greedy for money, power. We think these things will make us happy. This is misunderstanding. Real happiness comes from peace of mind. And this is the concluding passage that I'll read from this lovely book on page 230. It's very important to make distinction, actor and action. We have to oppose bad action, but that does not mean we against that person, actor. Once action stopped, different action comes. Then that person could befriend. That's why today China is enemy. The next day, there's always the possibility to become friend. And that's why I have no problem forgiving the Chinese for what they've done to my country and people.